Welcome, everyone. I am Nellen Hunt coming to you from New York. With me today is one of the top DJs on the northeastern seaboard, I would say. I have to give him his geographical dominance. DJ Riyad is with us today, and he's all the way in Toronto. That's the great thing about Zoom, Riyad.
Yes,
We could talk to one another anywhere in the
absolutely.
world. My very first question for you is thank you, of course, for joining us today.
My
Is
pleasure.
I have heard a saying, those who can't dance, DJ. And how did you get your start?
That's probably exactly it. you know, it's so funny. When I started DJing, actually, I used to get myself into a lot of trouble during high school and so forth. And over, I had friends that were into taekwondo, karate, basketball, football, all kinds of things. And I just, I play a little sports here and there, but my passion wasn't there. It's when I first started DJing, I realized this might be my calling. And before you know it, one year after the next, and got onto radio, onto TV. I just started back a new radio program with a man who actually had one of the only soca radio programs in all of Ontario
Mhm.
many years ago. He started in the late 70s. His name is Jai Oja Maharaj.
Mhm.
And he was off air for about I'm sorry, 8 years. We just went back on air very recently, actually yesterday being our second show. So
Wow.
an exciting time. I was very lucky that I was able to get into media at different points in my career. So it's been great so far. And I deviated from your question. Sorry,
Yeah.
go.
Well, I noticed you dodged the ability to dance part of it, but I mean, I'm not judging.
Well, sometimes when you become a popular DJ, right? Girls find you, they pull you onto the dance floor, and your excuse before you can even dance is that, hey, the song's gonna finish, and you run back.
Ah.
Yeah, so I'm not a dancer. Mm.
What is, I remember as a child, as
Mhm,
a youngster,
mhm.
2 or 3
Just a few
years
years
ago,
ago. I
when
hear that.
you go to a little Christmas party, the DJ had two turntables with
Mhm.
actual records,
Yes.
and he would talk, and
Hmm.
you would see him lift the needle.
Hmm.
Then they didn't even have mixing boards then.
Wow.
Just two turntables, one
Hmm.
speaker this way, one speaker that way.
Yes,
Real
yes.
amateur thing.
Uh-huh.
And then you would see him lifting this needle, and then you would see him
Unbelievable.
have this needle in his hand, and as he's lifting this one, he's lowering this one. And I used to say, nah boy, DJs are like astronauts, that looking real hard.
Mad.
Fast forward
Mhm,
a couple years later,
mhm.
now it is technology.
Technology. And no disrespect to new DJs, but that's why there's so many new DJs in the game, right? I have lots of them, lots of guys that say, "Hey, Riyad, I got the equipment, I got music from YouTube. I want you to teach me how to DJ." And I look at them and like, that's
Wait, what?
probably not
Music from
me.
YouTube?
Oh yeah, a lot of guys download music from YouTube. You didn't
What?
know that? Yeah, they come home. I got to be careful how I say this, but many of them come home after school or whatever the case may be, and they're downloading tunes and getting ready to play. Um, and you can't blame them. Listen, everyone's got to start somewhere. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, we recently just spoke before we got on air about the late great Mr. Mohan Jaikaran.
Yeah.
Paved the way in North America for our culture, for Indo-Caribbean culture, gave me many opportunities, produced shows with me here in Canada. The man selfless. He did a lot for our culture, and people tend to forget that. So I wanted to bring it up,
Thank
just
you.
to pay
Thank you.
tribute and respect. Mhm. So basically, I would say some of the DJs that are DJing now are just doing it for family events with
Mhm.
hopes of doing bigger events, weddings, and so forth, getting on the radio. And they have to start somewhere. Like I was saying, Mr. Jaikaran gave me an opportunity that propelled me to another level. I think all the people that I met along the way have actually made me a successful businessman, believe it or not, where I took my trade name as DJ Riyad. My real name is Riyad Mohammed, but I took my trade name as DJ Riyad, got it approved with the Real Estate Council of Ontario, and that is my trade name for real estate. So now you're seeing real estate signs saying DJ Riyad. It's a big thing.
So,
You know?
so not only are you, what's the best word to use? Not only are you luring potential clients, you're making them feel they're going to affect when they're going to look at the house.
Something like that. I do it a little different. They buy the house and then I do a housewarming.
And then you do the house. You see, like you said, you learn the business side of this. So
right.
Sell them a house, and then you spin for the housewarming.
I'm going to give you a joke. I say to them, I could get you a pastor, a priest, a imam, or a pundit, or I could DJ your housewarming. Normally they pick the fifth one. I say it last, so hoping, I cannot say it lower.
Yes.
But it gets them all the time. Yeah, of course you're coming to DJ.
And as a DJ, I have asked DJs before, apart from knowing the whole mixology part of it, because that in itself is a science.
Correct.
You are able, or you have to be able, I should say, to look at a crowd and tell, this is a slow music crowd tonight. No,
that's right.
I can't throw any hot soca on. I can't throw anything on for them to tremble it and
tremble it. You just dated yourself there, right?
Wait, I used a phrase. Listen, I tell you, I know on the scene, I'm new to all of this DJs.
Oh, you're cracking me up.
But what drives you when you are doing an event?
So it's the people. And I'll tell you, there were 3 times throughout my career I was going to quit the business, right? Luckily, I never did. But at one point in my career, I said, I was going through some personal things. And I said, either I'm going to be the best DJ possible and hone in on my strengths. I'm going to be the best for me, because I'll tell you something about the word the best in the DJ business. There's always somebody better.
Yeah.
Seriously, there's some amazing DJs I've come across and worked with, but I always said I'll be the best for me and the best for my community. So I started to focus on weddings, and within a short period of time, 2-3 years, we controlled the majority of the West Indian weddings in the GTA, and very high-end halls, 400, 500, 600 people at a time, really nice experiences. And I find that it's the people that make us who we are. And if you get a dance floor going and you catch a vibe, you can keep going. The ability that I have now, when I said that I made sure to be the best I could be in my part of the marketplace, is that I can take a song that's, a crowd dance floor that's jam-packed, dancing, party, and having a good time. And when the bride comes to you and say, this is not what I want. Sorry about that, but this is not what I want. I want you to slow it down, or I want to dance with my dad. These things really happen. Any professional DJ will tell you, because sometimes you have brides, and when they want it, you got to give it to them. So no problem. How do you bring a crowd from dancing on the dance floor down to a waltz and keeping the dance floor full? Do you know how? You bring down the music, you make a special announcement, and you create a need for people to want to dance slow. You have to see it in action. So luckily, I'm able to do that.
All my friend and me, and all my family, all my friend and me, and all my family, we should love each other endlessly. All who don't like me, and all my enemy, we should be living in harmony. Don't take forever to say we love each other when God calls our number. It's over before it's too late, and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink together before it's too late, and we never have a chance to see each other. Oh, let we have a drink we live in stress and worry. Tomorrow we will make a happy story, but why not make tomorrow today? Cherish all the ones who fill your story. We don't want to say if, when, or maybe, when someone that you love goes away.
Welcome back. You're watching Nellen in New York. I'm talking to DJ Riyad all the way out in Ontario, and we are talking about the DJ business, getting into it. One of the wonderful things that you talked about is you did 2,500 weddings.
Well, I gotta correct you. This year was supposed to be number 2,500.
Wow.
And because I say this year, I meant 2020. And 2020, I had, I believe, about 32 or 33 weddings. That would have taken me to that point. Unfortunately, I only DJ'd one. Yeah.
You know what? We'll round it off and say 20. We calling it out for 2021.
I like how you think.
We're calling it out for 2021.
Awesome.
Nothing is going to stop us from reaching that number, and we are rounding it off. You said you did 2,500 weddings.
Yes.
I hope you haven't done any divorces.
Do you want the truth? I did 2 D-fets. They're called D-fets. D for devil. Oh my God. Can I tell you one other quick story? I went to DJ.
Yes, you tell me.
The groom calls me up. We met, we talked the usual protocol, you know, but I don't normally say it's mandatory to meet with the groom and the bride, right? In this case, I just communicated with the groom. Day of the wedding, I'm looking at the bride and I'm like, I know this girl. Yeah, I had DJ'd a wedding for her before. So I said to her, why didn't you call me? I have a second time around discount. But she didn't. She laughed just like that. She laughed. She's like, Riyad, it's all good. I was embarrassed. I'm like, don't be. Life is life.
Yeah, things happen. I mean, you know, you started out doing something that you thought you'd be doing 1 or 2 on a weekend. For 2,500 events later, you are not only doing weddings, you are on the radio bringing Caribbean, West Indian, Trinidad culture to Toronto.
Yes.
So no pressure at all on your shoulders to represent the community. How do you feel about being responsible for how people perceive our culture in North America, in your little part of North America?
To sum it up in three words: very proud and honored. Because I'll tell you that so many of these weddings that I DJ are not just Caribbean people, because they have friends at work and so forth. So it's just a whole mixture. And when they go back to work and their peers and guests that were there are saying, hey, your wedding was amazing, and where did you find that DJ? That talk gets back to me. And in fact, I'll tell you what's funny. I haven't printed a DJ business card in 12 years.
Wow. I just thought you're cheap, but I mean.
No, it's not cheap. You know, because I feel like I can never reduce what I do into a business card. Right?
Yeah.
And most of my business is referral. So, you know, like I said, I was very lucky to have had that opportunity. And as far as actually promoting our culture, one of the #1 foods right now in the GTA, throughout the GTA.
For people who do not know, tell them what the GTA is.
Thank you. The I can't even say now.
Greater Toronto area.
Right? So if people are familiar, it's like if you're in Toronto and it's about maybe 40 minutes east and west and 40 minutes north. That's a good way of putting it, right? And so it's a huge population. And roti shops like crazy here now. You know, you should come and check it out. Some people say the roti and doubles are better than Trinidad, but I won't say nothing.
Okay, well, this interview is now over. I am gone. I am on my way. Yeah, it's an amazing thing. It really speaks to, you know, you leave Trinidad and you hope for the best, and then you get here and you realize that we are offering the best as well. We are able to compete on that international level with our food, with our music, with our culture, with our stories. You know, I really have been so lucky to talk to people who said, you know, I left Trinidad with my family and we got to Queens or we got to Miami and we didn't know what we were doing. And then now 20, 30, even more years later, here we are successful, thriving, and examples that it can be done.
Absolutely.
It's sometimes not easy. And as you said, there were 3 times when you thought you were going to leave your business.
That's right.
What made you come back?
The passion and the love for the music and culture.
Yeah.
You know, I'll never forget when remember that Mr. Bisesa song by Drupati? Remember? Roll Up the
Let me tell you something. I interviewed, not to cut you off, Drupati.
No problem.
And you know, as a professional, you say, well, you know, good evening, Drupati, thanks for the interview. And then camera goes off and I said, I have to call my mother right now and tell her I am interviewing Drupati. And she giggled. And I said, please forgive me. I said, you have no idea. When I first heard that song, and I'm like, here I am interviewing Drupati.
That's how I felt when I saw her in Trinidad the year that Indian Girl came out, right? That she sang with Marshall. I didn't see her for so many years. And I said, when you first met me, I was a little stupid DJ. That's how I put it. And then she goes, and now you're smart, right? So, you know, she's full of talks. And it was like, we never left, you know. I don't know how many years in between that record and that time I met her. I brought her back to Canada, actually through the help of Mr. Jai Karan. And she was in concert, phenomenal lady. But going back to that story, when that record came out, I'll never forget, I actually saved up money to buy that record. Could you imagine? And I wanted to play it, and I used to mix that with Nanny Wine and everything in the clubs. And, you know, something I was thinking about while we're talking about this is that what makes me a little different, all my life, I lived in Canada. But when I was about 10 years old, my dad had a dream to go to Trinidad and open up a hardware. So, now imagine being 10 years old, leaving Canada and going to Trinidad to live. It was like a culture shock because I only heard the good things about Trinidad. Well, there are only good things, but there was 1 or 2 things that I didn't know about. For example, let's not go into the examples today. We'll talk about that another time. But I could tell you that I had to study for common entrance, right?
Yeah.
And leaving here at 10 and getting ready to do my common entrance exams, I don't know how I ended up passing for a really good school. The problem, well, I'll tell you, I passed for Fatima Boys on the Napa Road.
It's all right.
So everyone was, you know, so happy for me. And I went into Form 1 and it was so difficult. And in fact, when they had, I don't remember what day, maybe a games day, I don't know what it was. I ended up hanging out with the DJ.
Wow.
And then so we were living in Freeport and I used to travel to Fatima. Could you imagine?
Wow.
Isn't that a long drive? Like, I mean,
you know, in Toronto, you hop on the school bus, it's just you and school children, and then you hop on the school bus and you go home.
That's right.
In Trinidad, we don't have that.
That's it. So I used to go to school, and then coming from school, guess where I would end up? You'll never believe. Independence Square. And I lineman with fellas that I'm not allowed to be lineman with, and listening to music. And then back in those days, the big DJ was Firefox. Do you know that name?
No, never heard of it.
Firefox, and you know, I was there. I was on my bike, and
oh my God, Firefox.
He said to me, "Say, hey, fat boy, pass that wire." And I picked up a wire and I gave it to him. I felt like $1 million.
Yeah, that was your internship right there.
That's right. Imagine if I could see him now. I have no clue what he would look like today, or if he's even around. But I'd be like, you started something. And back then, I'll never forget songs like Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And Trinidad had a really rock and roll vibe back then.
Yes.
Right? And every Saturday, we'd watch America's Top 40 with Casey Kasem.
Mm-hmm.
You remind me of him, actually. Keep your feet on the ground and keep you know, so it was some good times, and that's where I got the bug. So we lived in Trinidad, I think, about 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
My mom didn't like it. We came back to Canada, and before I had said, you know, I was hanging around with the rough guys, and I'm like, I'm a DJ, and they're like, you're a DJ? Let me show you what DJing is. And then we started DJing. So I first had a crew called New Dimension Sounds, then Paradise Sounds. Then a guy by the name of Ellsworth James promotes a lot of shows. Right? Yes, Ellsworth James.
I mean, don't know the name.
he said, wow. This New Dimension song is sung like a band. there's no band here. It's a DJ. What's your name? I said, Riyad. Right? He said, call yourself DJ Riyad. I said, no, I don't want to do that. It's something like it was unheard of back then. You know,
You are calling the names of legends.
Legends. Oh, yes, I know. I am part
Legend.
I am a
Ellsworth James.
I am a product of the legends.
Wow.
He gave me many breaks. He always had an admiration for Indo-Caribbean culture as well, right? So I never put myself as a soca DJ. I put myself as a DJ that could play everything, but my market is the Caribbean or Indo-Caribbean market. I mean, I don't mix more words, and I don't choose clientele. They choose me, right? The good thing is when I started to work at a station here, which is the first Canadian Black-owned radio station called G987 FM. I did the first commercial Indo-Caribbean show in all of Canada ever. No one's done it since. It was never done before. I'm saying commercial radio. There was community radio and so forth, but commercial channel. So when they had chosen me to do that, I said, well, you know, this is not really the music you guys would want, right? And they're like, no, we know what you do. We know what the community is all about. And we want to showcase that here on the station. So, you know, I was very fortunate again to have these opportunities and just got pigeonholed in the chutney market, which I don't mind. I love it. You know, I even did a record that was a big hit at one time. Whiny Ways from Left to Right. I don't know if you ever heard it.
Bring a bottle and then come, Master Salem. I have a party, so tell everybody. I cook the food and I buy all the roti. I have a party, so tell everybody. I cook the food and I buy all the roti. I pay the DJ so everybody could have fun. But I can't buy all the rum. Bring a bottle and then come. I can't buy all the rum. Bring a bottle and then come. Raise a glass now, let me take a shot. Shots, take a shot. Shots, take a shot. Shots, take a shot. Shots, take a shot. Yo, this is the original Master Blaster. Alongside the Maha.
Welcome back to Nellen in New York. I'm talking with DJ Riyad, one of the prime DJs in the GTA. For those of you who missed it, it's the Greater Toronto area. And Riyad, you started to touch on the fact that you started in radio, but you're now back in radio now. And I believe is it 100.7 CHIM?
That's correct. You have been doing your homework. Wow.
Listen. What do you think I'm doing here? Listen, I'm not just gorgeous alone, you know. Tell us about that.
So it's a very exciting time. I'll tell you the history of the show first. I touched on this before. Jai Oja Maharaj was the host way back in the 70s. Had that show for many, many years. He left that show to join G987 FM. Sorry, G98.7 FM. And then he was off for a few years, I'd say possibly close to 9 or 10. And then the opportunity came back in that same time slot on that radio station, thanks to COVID. So one thing definitely came out from this COVID.
So pandemic. Much good is coming out of this too. Absolutely. You know what I mean? It has its drawbacks, but I hear you. Yes.
So that time became available because the producer that had it for the last 9 or 10 years couldn't continue. Right?
Wow.
And they offered it to Jai, and Jai called me. I'm like, instantly, yes. And like I said, yesterday was our second show, many more great shows to come. The best part is the community is saying that he sounds the same. It's like he never left. Imagine that. So it's been very exciting.
When I have a feeling that people age way more slowly on radio than they do on TV, because your back could be turned and you could hear somebody. Like I remember I would hear like Rennie B and other people, and I would go, I used to hear that voice when I was like 7 or 8. It is now 100 years later, and that man sounds the same.
Same, yeah.
You know, and it's a wonderful genre that just brings everything together. So you're pivotally positioned to do the same thing, to just go on. No pressure at all.
I'm listening. you know, I was not to cut you off, but I was gonna actually plan my retirement in the DJ business for 2021, and I just passed that message along to very close people. Not one person accepted it. Even the graphic designer to do like the flyer for it, right? I said, hey, listen, I've asked you a couple of times to do the flyer for my retirement. He goes, bro, you're not going anywhere. I'm not doing that flyer. Find somebody else. That kind of thing. So, I feel I like I said it before, I'm blessed. I'm very fortunate to have that support.
So how often are you going to be on air now?
So we're once a week, Saturday nights, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight. It's Jai is the main man, and I come in with just like a half an hour mix every week, and then I have another guy that's playing the reggae. His name is Master Mignon. So it's a team effort, and we are building the foundation to eventually probably obtain our own radio station or acquire more time on CHIN, whatever comes our way, because in this business, sometimes things just come to you. Right?
Listen, when that happens, nobody else is covering that launch but Nellen Hunt. I mean, just saying.
Absolutely. VIP front row seat.
I can say, listen, I knew him when, That is exciting. That is really congratulations. That's really exciting.
My if it's not that though, I also have a drive mostly through my supporters of the last 10 years to get into something political. And if I ever do that, it's going to be in the city of Brampton, where a lot of my supporters reside.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you never know. I never leave a door closed.
The first DJ mayor.
Probably the second. I'm sure there's one somewhere else.
Or governor, or I mean, I don't know what your position will be, but I'm aiming for the stars. Putting it out there. Riyad, I want to say thank you so very, very much for telling us your story, for sharing with us. Everybody, for those of you in Trinidad, for those of you in New York, for those of you in Toronto, for those of you in Miami, I heard there's a huge Trini population in Texas, huge Caribbean population in Texas. So wherever you are, it's Saturday night, Radio CHIN 100.7. I am sure we could find you online.
Absolutely. That is available online if they Google it, and they will not be disappointed. And I actually wanted to say hello to all my family in Trinidad. If they ever come across me on TV, they'll know.
Oh, they will. They will. Trust me. They will.
Good. And also the management team that really wanted me on, they've been strong supporters. And I want to thank all of them. I don't know if I should just call out names, but they know who they are.
Say their names.
Say their names. Raquel, Anita, and the whole crew, right?
Yes.
They've always been strong supporters. So long time.
Thank you so very much. Yeah, listen, sky's the limit. You deserve it.
Absolutely. So end off with the Casey Kasem finish line.
Listen, I don't want a lawsuit. So I cannot say the exact phrase about keep reaching for your stars and keeping your feet on the ground, but I am going to say thank you, congratulations, the best is ahead of you, and thank you everyone for watching us here on Nellen in New York. Once again, stay safe and have a pleasant day.